Okay.
Yes, now after the dinner conversation. Okay, let's take a look, class. Let's we go back. Take a look to the condensed class. Basically, class. If you we try to recall you that actually we in the chapter 7, the later history on the spread of the Buddhism. Class, take a look. We are in the China part. Okay, so in the China part, and actually we are in the Zen school now. Okay, so we expect our class once we already finish the Chinese, then we will go back to study the India and Central Asia lah. Okay, I can only teach the one which I have confidence. Then become history in the first place. I thought actually I'm quite familiar with Chinese Buddhism, can make you all have interested in China. Once you go back to travel to China, you can look for the holy place. But they end up you all even getting more confused because maybe the language problem. I thought actually it should be good, but finally end up not that good. But anyway, you can plan for visiting, especially Xi'an. Xi'an is the establishment of the eighth school of a Buddhism in history of the China. So you can see all the ancient house, a temple, where is the origin of the school of the Buddhism in China Buddhism. So that's the case. You really need a special somebody good in English to become your guide to bring you all there. You have to join the trip in this way. I heard that Brother Victor V he is the English act people, and yet he is good in. I think he is working in the tourism department before. Mr. Leong know him well, and then he will involve. He will try to include China as one of his destination. So I think just you can you can make it become part of your planning. Okay, class. Take a look. So this is so we call it the Zen school. So in Zen school, if you remember, we try to tell you the six bacteria. So the six bacteria in the Guangzhou, and he passed away with the undecayable body. Then remember we got a verses that his standard is higher than the five bacteria. Then I remember I asked you to watch a movie from YouTube which is very obsolete, very dark and white. Okay, but do you go through that movie or not? Seriously, do you go through the movie, the history of the patria of the Huineng in YouTube? Yes,
No, I didn't.
yes, I go through, right? But very obsolete lah. Maybe not very clear. Or then even the subtitle also you can see some, or some you cannot see. But that is a story. I think we can get from there. So Mr. Leong, you see, that is the origin of the fifth bacteria, the sixth bacteria. In the very beginning, just one verse from the Diamond Sutra, he enlightened already. That according to the legend, he is uneducated, illiterated. But some scholar quite disagree. How come illiterate people without any education can become the bacteria. And according to the history, not the history. There's some according to some records, actually Hui Nen got psychic. So before he passed away, he left the poem that one day somebody will come and chop my head. Okay, so his disciple know all this. So in order to avoid this happen, they believe Hui Neng's psychic is must be accurate. So they put the iron cover the head of the Hui Neng, but they predict the time will be coming. In the poem also stated quite well already. So one night there's really a thief come and also try to use the knife to cut his head. Okay, then finally they hear the voice because the matter is on the head of the Hui Neng, in the undecayable body. So they go to catch the thief. Then the thief mentioned, yes, I want to cut. I mean, I need to cut the head. The reason is because I need the money. Okay, and the name of the thief actually is included in the poem. And then at that time, there's a one, how do we call it, like a police enforcement team. The head of the enforcement team, they are the one who catch him. And the name of the head of the enforcement team also inside the poem. You see or not? This meaning to say, Huinan is so strong the psychic and able to include all their name inside a verse, and they will come to take their head. You know everything already. So you can go to look for this legend, but I don't know whether it's available in English or not. In Chinese, we got lah. Okay. So this is something regards to Huinan. So we go back here. Here is regards the Hua Tou. You see, according here, say, the last sentence, while Zen sees itself is a non-depending on words and letter. If you go to learn the meditation skill from the Zen now, basically they will try to increase your doubt, they make your doubt is very strong. Then when the doubt, they will try to break the doubt. Once they break the doubt, then you got enlightened. This is how the Zen school, which is quite different what we tell you in Abhidhamma. But anyway, no matter what method, as long as your 5 dresses will be depressed, will be oppressed, that will be the good method. Okay, no matter how, so you can just try and choose it. Then take a look. He say, using 4 types of the rhetoric, one of the strangeness, second of the direct pointing, of silence, of disruption, meaning to say that sometimes the method is unconventional and that doesn't make sense so you cannot just go to ask too many logic questions behind the Zen method because they just give you one verse, but you don't go to think the meaning behind it. They just use this one to make sure your mind stop from wandering and then to force you to enlighten. So we stop in the previous lesson here. Let's continue. Here's one can. Sally, can you please read the passage?
Here one can see connection both to early Buddhist ideas of non-self and to Yogacara perspective, which sees the subject-object duality as an illusion imposed on the flow of direct experience. A simple example of the dialogue using such language is, Monk, how can silence be expressed? Master, I will not express it here. Monk, where will you express it? Master, last night at midnight, I lost 3 pennies to buy my bed.
Okay, Sally, stop here. Okay. Can you please try to tell me, it is the logic sentence, it is the logic conversation, Elena?
No logic.
Why you say no logic?
If you were to think about the sentence, it's like 牛頭不搭馬嘴.
Especially
you talk about sentence, then you say you cannot express. And then when will you express, then you said last night. And then after that, you said you lost 3 pennies.
Yes, that's true. So in Zen, it happened with all these type of sentence. Okay. So you can't go to find out how come you cannot think one. This method is quite different, They are using all the sentence, but if I'm the master, you are the student, and you are using the method. Once I notice that you are about to enlighten, we will converse in this way. But since it is illogic, people prefer play around with this type of thing. So in the very beginning, I also prefer playing with this type of thing. Yes. So we just something like nonsense lah. If people talk this nonsense to you, you notice that he is not a Zen teacher. the best way to solve the problem is you just slap them face. Then you say this is the Zen. Okay, then so this is how we play around that lah. So sometimes a Zen school end up with this type of playful sentence nonsense. It can happen in this way. But actually, the truth it is not like that. If you really go to learn from the Zen school, I think probably you can try maybe in Korea. Some still using the English. There's one master called what Suzuki, that one. You can try to learn and try to see how the method is really come in this way. Yes, Mr. Leong, you want to talk Zen with me, right? Please.
Yeah, I think that we have to read in between the lines to understand. To me, I understand that he will express it at midnight at 3 a.m.
No, Mr. Leong. Actually, you shouldn't think in this way. The way you do is Abhidharma way. No, Chinese Zen, it's not logic one, because the last one lost 3 penny, nothing to do. So off your camera, Mr. Leong. Off your camera. Mr. Leong, off your camera. Off your camera, Mr. Leong. Off your camera. And then talk again. Yes, explain again, Mr. Leong.
The 3 offering. Oh yeah, what I mean is the 3 penny can indicate the time, because that
Leon, you sound like singing a song lah.
No, the line is not good. Okay, Mr. Leong, I get what you mean but basically Zen school we don't analyze in this way. It's true actually we don't do in this way. If you do this way, Mr. Leong, you are aware in the sixth sense. You involve your sixth sense. You are involving your sixth sense. By always involving your sixth sense, it disappeared already. You cannot touch the spiritual behind the Zen. You cannot touch that. Okay, so I'm talking to nobody.
You're talking to me, Sifu.
Yeah, I'm talking to somebody. Yeah, from many people to one people. They come back already. Okay, well,
came
okay,
back.
yes. Then we go back to this records. Yeah, Sally, can you please continue? Record of some of the questions.
Here, the toughness of silence is conveyed not by describing it, but by conjuring up the picture of groping for some coins in darkness and silence of fact. Records of some of the question and answer sessions and of the spontaneous act of masters provided important paradigms for Chan practice. Such a record is known as a gong an, or public record. These were used as themes for one type of meditation and as discussion points in private interviews. They were used increasingly from the 8th century, and by the 12th century, there were large anthologies of them, including the Blue Cliff Record and the Gateless Barrier. These were used as a basis of a system in which practitioners would have to wrestle with a series of enigmatic questions, such as what was my original face before my mother and father were born? That is, what is my true nature beyond existence of time and space. This was a way to educate people the hard way. Chan is said to have originated in a supposed incident in Buddha's life when he held up a flower to a group of his disciples. Mana Kassapa smiled in understanding at this silent sermon, and so received the seal of Dharma to pass on the teaching. This story, which acts as a kind of foundation myth for Chan, seems to have originated with the Chan literate during the Song period. Mana Kassapa was one of Buddha's main disciples, an arahant who was a relatively ascetic figure who loved the beauty of mountains and forests, and is seen in several Buddhist texts of northwest India as Buddha's successor. A flower amplifies both the beauty and impermanence of the world, and is said that Mana Kassapa learned of the Buddha's death on the meeting with the ascetic with a flower that has been offered in devotion to the dead Buddha.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. This is the good font size, Sally. Am I right? Good font size for you, huh?
Slightly bigger would be better.
Slightly bigger. Like that.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Leong, raise hand please once you finish highlight. 又開始有落水咯，it's about to raining again. Okay, thank you so much. So class, let's take a look. So as we see here, this conversation is a public record. You see or not? This is one type of the meditation in the private interview. Okay, so remember, if you use this method, you go to learn this method, don't really go to think too much, because once you start to analyze, you are using this six consciousness already. Their aim is don't want to use, they don't want you to use the six consciousness, just want you to directly respond spontaneously lah. So this is the Zen way lah. Okay, then let's take a look and basically what method they use. The question they will ask, you see, enigmatic question, just like what is my true nature, something like that. Okay, but you don't really go to think what is my true nature. No, you don't think. They just use the question to raise up your doubt, you're skeptical. Then once the skeptical is accumulated to a certain extent, your master will try to break it through the conversation. Some maybe they will beat you with a broom. It can happen like that. Oh, suddenly people beat you like that, or maybe it can happen very sarcastically, or maybe it can happen ignorantly. You don't know what will happen to you, but you just cannot use the logic to think about that. But of course, you have to meet a good master lah. So the good master will do all this type of stuff. And you see, class, this method actually is popular. It's popular during the this 8th century. You see, increasing use in the 8th century. 8th century meaning to say that 700 to 800 years. It's quite long ago. It's about to, I think it's a Song dynasty, before the Song period lah, before the Song period. And according to the legend, basically the Zen school originated from this. Okay, the Kashyapa Ni Hua Wei Xiao. Let's take a look. This is come from this story. Basically, if you ask where is the Zen school originated, it's because Buddha tried to, pluck the flower and smile, and Kashyapa, you see, is the only one that understand. Then Kashyapa also smile on me. Then Buddha said, oh, among all the students, only Kashyapa understand me. You see? There's no logic behind. They just pass the message in the silent mode, you see. I think this method cannot work well with Elena and Mr. Leong, because they are more logic thinking people. Maybe Sally, you prefer this type of illogic way, more artistic way. Sally, you also don't like it. Okay, if you don't like it, so you better no need to try.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand. Actually, no need to understand. What you try to do, just you get a master and use this method, then you will get something. Yeah, Mr. Leong, please, yes.
Sifu, as pertaining to this sermon to Mahakasyapa, I think that the Buddha and Mahakasyapa is what you call conveying telepathically, because Mahakasyapa also has a psychic power.
Yeah, but in Zen school, they don't interpret it due to the psychic. They interpret that once Shakyamuni plucked the flower, immediately he conveyed the message already. To the Kashyapa. So this is what happened now. Now the teacher will also use certain way to convey the message of enlightenment to the student. But this one, you cannot, they will use, besides plucking the flower, they can use other way. So you cannot, to analyze it. But just both of them can understand, or if you enlighten before, you also can understand. You need or not to collect your clothes. Elena go. Okay. So Sally, how about our candlelight dinner? Will it turn out become a thunderstorm dinner or not?
No
We,
lah.
who knows? I hope not lah, but
You
cannot
hope
say.
not lah. Maybe you have to check for the weather forecast before. So,
Sorry, I don't believe in Malaysia's weather forecast.
oh, you don't believe the Malaysia weather
because
forecast?
because every time also seems to be not according to what they say.
It happened over opposite, right?
Yeah.
The opposite. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, that's very bad. Okay. Now, recently I think quite heavy rain, right? Recently, quite abnormally heavy the rain. But Kelantan, the Kelantan, the pond also dry until you see the end. You see the bottom already. Okay, let's continue.
Excuse me.
Yes.
In this case, is it direct pointing or is it of silence?
In silence. It's a silent mode to copy the message is silent without any verbal conversation to convey the message. Okay. So if you got chance, quite hard to say. If one day, Mr. Leong, you met this master, you just remember follow the method. Okay, because you all also got the jhana, you can concentrate very well because according to圣严法师, you must attain the jhana first before to try this method. And you all are eligible for this method. So remember, don't use your logic mind to think about that. Everything is our logic one. So you see what will happen. Maybe you end up for being tortured or then. Yes.
This our possession only lah.
Again, I don't hear your first sentence.
For this case, this Zen teaching is sorry, never mind. I forgot what.
You forgot already, Oh, dementia. Okay.
No, correction, Sifu. He is trying to give you the silent moment so that see whether you understand or not.
Sorry, I don't understand. I don't understand.
People doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Mr. Liang, your motion doesn't work.
Yeah, your motion doesn't work. This public record is void. Is void. Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's take a look. So you see how a flower exemplifies both the beauty and impermanence of the world. This is how we try to interpret but this is the case how we understand. We know the origin of the Zen school Okay, maybe I have to bring you the attention that it's quite hard for us to trace the origin. You want to get 100% origin from Buddha teaching. I think for both meditation experience and also from the teaching is quite hard. 2000 years ago, maybe in writing we still can get some not many. Now I believe a lot maybe it's the commentary from the student. Even the meditation skills maybe also partial really inherited until now then the rest maybe it's the additional from the student from some senior student even though Theravada, the preferred teaching emphasize the originality as a marketing skills. But the way I see it, as long as all are inspired by the teaching, no matter for both meditation or the theory, that is good enough already. And then when you use it, you can find that your five senses will be oppressed, and then you can get some enlightenment. That is the good method already. There's no point to always to look for the originality because you can hardly to find the originality actually. And even though you want to trace the originality through the language, you have to spend a lot of time to study the Pali, all this type of thing. So basically, I think nowadays the material is enough for you to choose your method. So this is I want to tell because Mr. Leong, you are quite old already. No point to learn the Pali language just to choose the originality teaching. No point already. So just let you know Then we come back here of the 5 Chan lineage development. one paragraph, then two paragraph, a big paragraph. Yes. Okay. Yes, Elena, can you please read the passage?
Of the 5 Chan lineages that developed, 2 survived the vicissitudes of history and came to dominate after the 11th century. This is the Linji school founded by Linji. It emphasizes the use of Gong'an's hash methods in interviews and that awakenings come suddenly. The second is the Chao Dong school founded by Dongshan and the Chao Shan. The school's name may allude to their names. It emphasizes a form of sitting meditation and came to see awakenings as gradually unfolding. While the Japanese forms of these 2 schools have remained separate, they merged in China during the Ming Dynasty. By the 16th century, the pervasive Pure Land practice of Nianfo came to be part of the daily liturgy of China monasteries. In this context, however, it became more of a Chan self-power exercise than a Pure Land, other power one. This was because, in addition to recitation, a common topic of meditation was who recites the name of the Buddha. That is, what is one's true nature? A syncretism between Pure Land and Chan also developed, in which the Buddha nature within the Amitabha without were seen as different ways of looking at the same reality. Buddhism flourished in the Tang Dynasty, where monasteries were large, well-endowed institutions which fosters artistic creativity, care for the sick, old and orphans, and ran community development projects. Buddha's influence and the wealth accumulated by monasteries, however, led to machination by rival Taoists. The government was in need of money after a civil war and looked for funds to the precious metal used in Buddhist images, temple lands, and the tax exemption enjoyed by monks and the laity working in the monastery. In 1842, the emperor confiscated land belonging to lax monks and nuns. And in 1845, he had all but a few temple monasteries destroyed. Laicized many monks and nuns and took much of the Sangha's land. The persecution was short, but it devastated Buddhist institutions throughout China. The emperor died in 1846, and his policy was reversed, but most schools did not recover and went into decline. Tiantai retained some of its power, but the main surviving school were Chan and Pure Land. Chan survived because it was less dependent on libraries and images, etc. Its monks had come to grow their own food, and many of its centers were geographically isolated. Pure Land survived because it was mainly lay movement. Buddhism in China was now past its peak.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hey, really heavy downpour. Did this same happen to your place? Very strong wind and also downpour. Same. I think maybe some maybe some cyclone pass through here, right? No cyclone now, we don't have cyclone, but really, I don't know what wind it comes, bring a heavy rain, or looks horrible, really horrible.
Cyclone, I think the house, the temple also will be devastated.
Cyclone, so the roof gone,
Because it goes round my cyclone.
Yeah. So the candlelight dinner end up become a raining dinner already. The candlelight some more. We check the weather a little bit lah. If every day come in this way, so better we don't ask Mr. Leong to risk for driving in this type of weather. Very bad, very dangerous. Raise hand by Zoom, please, once you finish. Okay, class, let's take a look. So we come to this part. Let's see. Okay, later history spread of later Buddhism. Class basically, once we talk about the Zen school, there will be 5 Zen lineage. They are the Lingji and the Chaodong. Basically, for Lingji and Chaodong, this is the name from the place. But both are actually they are involved the meditation method more on graduate enlightenment. In Zen school, they got 2 methods. One is the graduate enlightenment, one is a subtle enlightenment. But here is the more graduate enlightenment. Nowadays, you still can find the Zen school in Malaysia, who is taught by the a Chinese nun, and she learned from the Korean. In English one, I think it also is available. Is from the Japan one. Then let's take a look. In 16th century, we noticed that actually Nian Fo Famen is more common and popular. So it comes and works together with the Zen school. So some, in certain extent, they turn out become the rival to each other. Because the Zen, the Buddha nature is within the heart. But for the Nian Fo, they say you have to go to the Western Pure Land, then you can become a Buddha. So both they turn out become the rival, but some do try to, try to merge them together. So it happened that in certain come out a new school, you do the Buddha chanting, but at the same time, you also do the Zen. It happened according to the Chinese history. But I think nowadays, quite hard for you to find this type of school. It's not available in Malaysia, not available anymore in Malaysia. Okay, then next we come to this, the later spread, the later history and the spread of the Buddhism in the later history. So let's take a look. It's about the Tang Dynasty is the peak. But after the Tang Dynasty, it happened that the annihilation of the Buddhism, quite sad. It's about 4 times in history of the Chinese Buddhism. Basically, the devastation is so strong and cannot recover most of the school. Okay, how come it will happen? Basically, Buddhism actually they are imported product. The real local product actually is the Taoism. Okay, but anyway, since my senior, they are very smart. When they come up, even though they origin from Indian, they try to mix very well to the local Chinese Taoism culture. They mix themselves very well. So until now, Mr. Leong, if you see me, you don't notice not much identity. My identity is quite different from Theravada monk. The reason is because my senior Chinese monk, they already mingle very well with the Chinese culture until they become partial of the Chinese culture. But anyway, it seems that basically Buddhism and the Taoism, they compete to each other to become the consultants of the king. Once you are trusted by the king basically will 100% rely on you, rely on your advice. So it happened that some Taoism, they really hate Buddhism. For our prosperous, they also envy. So they ask the king to destroy the Buddhism. According to history, from a Tang Dynasty until now, it happened for 4 times. Okay, but besides the envy from the Taoism, there's one more. They speak some ill word like in front of the emperor. But one more thing is the problem within ourselves. Basically, in ancient time, all monk and nun, all the lay men, they have to pay tax. Number 1. Secondly, they have to serve as a military to protect the country. Okay, and the third one, they have to, they pay tax, and also besides, they also have to, once people notice that once you become a monk, you are free from paying tax. You are free from military service. So people end up to misuse the opportunity. So that is what happening. And the monk, because the number can be very much, according to the history, I think before the Tang Dynasty, it can go 300 to 400,000 monks at that time, as many as in Myanmar nowadays. So big number, So sometimes the emperor also worry, wow, so many become monk, all are free from paying tax and exempted from military service. And then because the number is too many, some actually they are lazy also. Some they don't work hard also. So that's why this is the shortcoming discovered by the Taoists, and the Taoists will try to make the king try to do something, and the king emperor really destroy it quite thoroughly. What they try to do, number one, they force some monk to renounce, to disrobe. Okay, and second, they will confiscate all the temple and turn it out to become the education center for the military, maybe. Okay, become a military base. The third one, they try to melt all the Buddha statue, because at that time the Buddha statue all made from the metal, and metal is very expensive, So they will try to melt down and make it become the weapon. And lastly, they have to do the farming and pay tax to the government. Once the government, after collecting the tax, so they can, strengthen the army force. So this is what happened very sadly. Okay, so some king really do, because the emperor is so powerful, and the devastation is too deep. Some school cannot recover already. There's only 3 schools can recover according to the record. One is a Tian Tai. I don't know why he still can survive. Secondly, the Zen school, because Zen, the Buddha nature is within the heart, so they don't depend on the library, they don't depend on the Buddha statue. So they can go to the jungle and do the farming by themselves. So nothing to do with the effort, with the destruction from the king. And the lastly is the Nianfo. Nianfo actually is the movement from the layman. So laymen have nothing to do with the monk. So they are the one also can survive. Then the rest of the 7 school cannot recover. Some even until now. Yes, Elena, please. Yes, thunderstorm. Okay.
The Chan self-power exercise and the Pure Land other power one. Can you elaborate a little bit on it?
Wait lah. Okay, you mean this one? Let's see. This one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the Zen is a self-power. Basically, for Zen school, everything depends on yourself. Buddha nature within yourself, you have to find it from yourself. But for Western Pure Land, they say, okay, you just fully depend on the external power, just chanting the Buddha name. So the Buddha, the Amitabha will come to bring you to the Western Pure Land. So this is about 90% is the external power. For Zen, 90% by yourself. Okay, that is the meaning here. Okay, so this is the controversy. They in between external power and internal power. It happened in this history. Okay, so meaning to say that once the religion become bigger, or the organization become bigger, so you will see some decay within inside. So it ends up in the history. They've got 4 times, four kings. Not consecutively with a different time frame to destroy the Buddhism. Very famous. Okay, maybe I can let you know the name. Let me put you the name. If you go to visit to the China one day, you have to really ask the guide. So class, take a look. So this is the, you see, they chop the head of the Buddha, okay, then they try to destroy all the statue, they burn all the sutra. This is what they can do, according to the history. Okay, let me see first. Name, okay. Oh, 3 disaster. 查阅3到了。3 disaster. Let me see. Okay, please write it down. 3 Wu and 1 Zhong. So this is the 4K who was destroying the Buddhism before. Okay, 3 Wu and 1 Zhong. Okay. Maybe the name you can, in Chinese we use the annihilation of Buddhism. Big words of annihilation. Totally destroy it. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay, next paragraph. Yes, Sally, can you please read again? During the Song Dynasty. Maybe Mr. Leong, you try to read. Your line is good already, Mr. Leong. Yeah, during the Song.
During the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279, though the entire canon of Buddhist scriptures were printed using over 130,000 wooden printing blocks. In time, however, Buddhism came to lose out to the rising power of Neo-Confucianism, which reached its classic form in the 12th century. Drawing elements from Buddhist philosophy, there was an all-embracing ideology and metaphysics which became the basis of competitive civil service exams. Under its influence, Buddhism was increasingly seen as fit only for the masses. The decline of Buddhism under this reformulated expression of indigenous Chinese beliefs is in some way akin to its decline in India under Hinduism, a reformulated Brahmanism. In both cases, a religion or philosophy closely tied to a national culture came to overshadow a universal religion from which it is borrowed. Time, however, it became quite common for the first practice to draw on Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism. In the Mongolian Yuan dynasty, state patronage increased again, though it was mainly for northern Buddhism. Early in the Ming dynasty, Buddhism had a small revival due to the initial state encouragement. But then the control of education by Confucian scholars and the prevention of Buddhists being state officials led to the decline in Buddhist scholarship. Popular Buddhism still thrived, however, though it became increasingly mingled with Taoism and folk religion. In the Qing dynasty or Manchu dynasty, Buddhism continued to be criticized by the Neo-Confucian propaganda, but in the 17th century, It was spread to the island of Taiwan by Chinese immigrants.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Sally, finish. Or neo confusion. Let's take a look, class. Neo confusion. In a simple way, is the modern confusion. Okay, class. Let's take a look. This is basically this is the history of the Buddhism in a very short and precise way. So just now we mentioned after the destruction from the king, so we come to the Song dynasty. In Song dynasty, our whole entire canon of the Buddhist scripture was printed. Class, nowadays, the Tripitaka is come in this way. We call it as a C-Beta online. Class, let's take a look. So C-Beta, basically, you can get 100 volume of Tripitaka is in the C-Beta. So where does it come from? It's partially it's because the effort in Song dynasty, people try to invent the printing material. So when you're able to print it out, then you are able to keep it. Actually, if let's say if possible, you go to Beijing, please visit a cave. This is the cave where you see the Tripitaka have been engraved on the cave. Okay, so this is the cave you are able to see. Now you see, this is the cave, and you see the Tripitaka. is somewhere around Beijing. Why they want to carve the Sutra Pitaka in the cave? The reason is Buddhism prospers due to the king, and also destroy also due to the king. Meaning to say that it happened like the Buddhism go up and down. It depends on the mood of the king. So the Buddhists, no matter layman and the monk, they feel king is unreliable. So the best way to sustain our Buddhism is we carve the Tripitaka on the cave, because once the king want to burn, they cannot burn. Everything is on the cave. How can you burn? You see or not? But anyway, if let's say you just carve everything is in the maybe in the bamboo at that time, so the king can destroy it easily. According to the history, the carving of the Tripitaka on the cave, it happened is throughout about 800 to 1,000 years. So once you go to visit Beijing, you can see how the Buddhists, how was the Buddhists paying a lot of effort just to make the Buddhism survive and sustain. Okay, so this is you can pay a visit. Elena, have you gone to Beijing before? Beijing, but you won't go to this place, or you won't, except you follow the Buddhism trip, this type of the cave, you should ask for it. So say if you go, just go to take a look. You will see how is the how was the effort of the paid by the Buddhists just to resist I mean the king will to destroy it. Okay, then let's take a look. So this is what we see here. Then besides, okay, basically, from this moment we notice that actually the Buddhism start to decline, and have why? The reason is because it reformulate itself as a Brahmanism, meaning to say that Buddhism from this moment they're always controlled by the scholar from the confusion, and they have a decline. Why? Because they start to mingle already. You see, mingle with the Taoism and the folk religion. Sometimes once the religion itself is very weak, in order to survive, the only thing you can do, you have to mix with other religion. So now class, if you take a look to the Taoism temple, you see, if I put the word Taoism, you see, Tao Jiao. You see, this is a Taoism. From the Taoism, for example, you see the temple, quite similar with the Buddhism Chinese temple, right? Okay, and then maybe let's take a look. You see, this is the Taoism. Actually, the Dharma instrument they use is quite similar also. The Dharma instrument. You see, let's see. This is the Tao Jiao Fa Qi. This is the Dharma instrument. I see the Dharma instrument they use, some also borrowed by the Buddhism, you see. Okay, now you see this one, the bell, we also use it, you see. Actually, in certain moment you see the drum, okay, quite similar, right? Because at that time we are mutually influenced, okay, and Taoism also have taken refuge also. We don't know, they copy from us also, but once we are very weak, we have to borrow a lot of idea from them. Some Taoism monk, the monk, they turn out become a monk, Chinese Buddhism monk, and some Buddhist monk they should become a Taoism monk also. So that's why this happened it happened very quite frequent in Chinese. So it ended up the Buddhism we lost their identity, like what happened in India. So finally, the whole thing will gone because you lost your identity. You ready, okay, and also they mixed together with the folk religion. Okay, so this is what we see here lah. So finally, you see, in the 17th century, it was spread to the island of Taiwan by the Chinese immigrant. Well, in 17th century, besides it go to the China, I think it also spread to Malaysia lah, especially with the invention let's take a look. Especially after with the invention the invention of the ship by the England, because during the 17th century or 19th century British have been colonized Southeast Asia. They need a lot of labor force, so they are using the big ship to ship the people from the China to come here. So that is the first generation of our ancestors for being here. But at the same time, they import the monk at the same time. So that's why the monk here, they start to establish a lot of Chinese temple. Sally, the temple, I think from your cousin, nephew, from your nephew, I think they are the first generation from the China. Am I right? Okay. So they bring everything here. So you see, if wherever Chinese temple or the Buddhist organization, there's the chanting or whatever they chant, actually all are import from the Chinese. So this type of the chanting and the ritual actually developed for 1,000 years in China mainland. But finally, due to the immigrants, they all bring to Malaysia. But in Malaysia, we also import from the Thailand, in the Myanmar Buddhism. So we mix up everything, become the Malaysia Yana. So we don't see any Theravada, Mahayana, it become Malaysia Yana already, because it's our own feature to mix up everything, to rojak everything already. So do you get it? I think Erdi is the good example for the Malaysia Yana. Rojak Buddhism, right? Yeah, we mix up and mess up everything. Okay, as you come here, the Buddha actually is from the Gandhara style, but you see the Guan Yin and the Dizang Pusa, they are the Chinese faith. So this is the, unavoidable. We have to do it unavoidably, because this is how our market build up. You see, this is how our culture build up. So until now, you start to understand why the Chinese feature among the Mahayana is so strong. You get it, Mr. Leong? You can understand already. Oh, this is why the feature is like that, because it's not from origin from India anymore. It's actually mixture with the Taoism, Confucianism in China, also including all the building. You can see a lot of dragon the roof, but you don't see in Erdi, right? Because we are Malaysia Yana. Because here a lot of Malay folks here, they're staying here, so we cannot have the rooftop so Chinese Buddhism style. Then they start to complain us already. So you see, now we have, in order to survive, from the design of the building to the teaching, we are all different from the Chinese Buddhism already. Do you get it? So from history, you will know how come the thing it happened in this way. Okay, so okay, so that's for today lah. The class.